The laboratory was not like any other research facility. Asimov Research Center was built on an isolated platform beneath the sea, hidden from the public eye. Official records claimed it was dedicated to the exploration of new energy sources, but the reality was far more secretive. Here, humanity's greatest leap was being taken, the Reflection Project. The goal of the project was to study a biological specimen found on an asteroid 5 years ago. It was a sticky, semi-transparent substance that reacted with energy in an extraordinary way and could replicate living beings. The discovery had changed everything. Dr. Elena March was the lead researcher of the Reflection Project. For someone as intelligent and ambitious as she was, this project was the pinnacle of her career. But for the past few weeks, Elena had felt that something was terribly wrong. Her team included Carter Hayes, an engineer, Samantha Duvall, a biochemist, and James Rowland, the head of security. Elena had begun to doubt one of them. In recent meetings, Samantha's voice had trembled, and Carter had become eerily quiet. This is just stress, Elena thought to herself. But when she checked the security footage late one night, she noticed something unsettling. Samantha's lab was lit up even though she should have been sleeping. Elena decided to investigate. The hallways were silent, only the low hum of the facility's security systems breaking the stillness. When she opened Samantha's lab, she found it empty. A note sat on the bed. "There's something out there. Please be careful." The next morning, Samantha was missing. Carter dismissed it, saying, "Maybe she's just sleeping in." But Elena's unease grew. An hour later, an alarm blared from the southern wing. Elena and James rushed to the area. The southern wing housed the containment chamber for the extraterrestrial specimen. When they entered the alarm room, they found the security glass cracked. The substance was moving, something it shouldn't have been able to do. James spoke into his radio, trying to call for backup, but only static came through. "The connection is down," he said, wiping the sweat from his brow. Elena's eyes fell on a figure in the corner. It was Samantha, but her face was twisted grotesquely, her eyes black as voids. As Samantha moved toward them, her voice, which no longer sounded human, echoed through the room. "There's only one way to understand this world. Become a part of it." James raised his weapon, but Elena stopped him. "No, this could be an opportunity." But before they could react, Samantha's form started to shift. It morphed into a face that looked just like Carter's. Without hesitation, James fired. The figure collapsed, and Elena realized it was only a copy. Was Samantha really missing, or had she been replaced? After the incident, the team searched every corner of the facility. What they discovered was worse than they could have imagined. The substance had begun to assimilate the biological data within the facility and replicate them. At one point, Carter approached Elena with a strange glint in his eye. "We're not human anymore, Elena. But that's not a bad thing. This is evolution." Elena realized he was no longer Carter, but one of the copies. With tears brimming in her eyes, she locked him in a containment room. James and Elena knew they needed to destroy the alien specimen. The plan was simple: initiate a series of chemical reactions that would destroy the entire facility. But to set the chain reaction in motion, one of them would have to stay behind. "I'll stay," James said. Elena tried to protest, but James was resolute. "If you can get out, you can save humanity." Elena ran to the escape pod, her heart pounding. As she reached it, she noticed something. The voice she had just heard James speak with had sounded odd, almost like an echo. As the escape pod launched, Elena glanced out the window and watched the facility erupt in flames. But something caught her eye. A figure stood outside the pod. James. But how was that possible? James's face began to shift, grotesquely contorting into the form of someone else. His eyes turned completely black. "I told you, Elena. Evolution is a funny thing." The story ends with Elena, frozen in terror, struggling to comprehend what was real and what was not. The experiments that had pushed humanity beyond its limits had left her unsure of who she was or what the future would hold. Ida and her friends had no idea that the mountain cabin they had come to was not just an old structure, but a gateway used centuries ago by sorcerers. Hidden deep in the forest, the cabin eluded the eyes of ordinary people, but those who reached it never returned the same. As they stepped out of the car, the sky was painted with a strange crimson hue. "Is this normal?" Borju asked, watching the peculiar movements of the clouds. "Maybe it's just a mountain weather thing," Amir replied dismissively, but Ida felt a growing unease, as if something was profoundly wrong. When they entered the cabin, they immediately noticed that the air inside was colder than it had been outside. Above the fireplace hung an old painting that caught everyone's attention. The woman in the painting seemed to be watching them, her eyes following their every move. Ida shuddered as she looked at the painting, a chill running down her spine. "Should we take this down?" "It's creepy," Borju suggested. Salim, however, insisted it remain untouched. "Who knows? Maybe she's the guardian spirit of this place," he joked. As night fell, the group gathered around the fireplace. But shortly after midnight, an eerie whispering sound came from outside. The voice murmured in a language none of them could understand. Ida walked to the window and peered into the dark forest. In the pale moonlight, she spotted a figure, a tall, graceful woman with an otherworldly aura. Her hair billowed in the air despite the absence of wind, and her eyes gleamed with a haunting intelligence, just like the woman in the painting. "You need to see this," Ida called out. But when the others joined her at the window, the figure was gone. While her friends dismissed it as a trick of her imagination, Borju pointed toward the painting. "The woman, she looks clearer now," Borju said. Indeed, the features of the woman in the painting had grown sharper, and her glowing eyes were now unmistakable. "This is getting ridiculous," Amir muttered, but Salim decided to investigate further. Climbing onto the fireplace, he took the painting down. Behind it, they found an ancient book with gilded letters on its cover spelling out one word, Etheris. "What is this?" Borju asked, wide-eyed. Salim opened the book, revealing pages filled with magical symbols, cryptic writings, and a map. The map marked a location deep within the forest. When Ida took the book in her hands, something shifted in the air. The moment her fingers touched the pages, the fire in the hearth turned blue, and the stillness of the room was disrupted as the book's pages began flipping on their own. A beam of light shot out from the book, illuminating the room, and from within that light, a figure emerged. It was the woman from the painting, now fully real. She stood clad in gleaming silver armor, a radiant staff in her hand. Her voice echoed through the room as she asked, "Who summoned me?" "Summon? We didn't summon anyone," Salim stammered, fear evident in his voice. The woman turned her piercing gaze to Ida. "By opening this book, you have broken an ancient oath. There is no escape now." With a wave of her staff, the book floated into the air, and from its pages, a portal materialized, swirling with golden and violet light. The gateway hummed with energy. The woman's voice was stern. "Either step through this portal or remain here forever." The group hesitated, exchanging anxious glances. They didn't know what awaited them on the other side, but staying in the cabin felt like a death sentence. Together, they stepped into the portal. Beyond the gateway was a world unlike anything they had imagined. Towering spires pierced the sky, flying creatures soared overhead, and magic seemed to ripple through the very air. Yet, this realm was also steeped in darkness, its beauty shadowed by an ominous presence. The woman turned to them, her voice calm yet commanding. "If you wish to survive here, you must work as one. What brought you here was no accident," she said. And so, Ida and her friends embarked on a perilous journey through a world brimming with magic and danger. But one question loomed over them. What was the ancient oath they had broken, and what fate truly awaited them? Ida and her friends stood frozen, staring at the shimmering portal before them. The woman who had emerged from the painting, now known as Lamia, was not just a mysterious figure, but the guardian of realms, a protector of an ancient, magical nexus that connected their world to another. Her silver armor glinted under the ethereal light, and her piercing gaze held the weight of countless lifetimes. "This world," Lamia began, her voice reverberating through the room, "is Etheria, a realm where the boundaries of reality blur. Long ago, your kind and mine swore an oath. Humanity would never meddle with this realm's magic. In return, Etheria's energy would sustain the balance between worlds. By opening that book, you shattered the seal that upheld this balance. The consequences could unravel both realms." Ida's voice quivered as she stepped forward. "We didn't mean to break anything. What can we do to fix it?" Lamia studied her, her expression unreadable. "The balance can still be restored, but it will not be easy. Deep within Etheria lies the cradle of eternity, where the heart of the Nexus resides. To reach it, you must endure 3 trials: truth, unity, and sacrifice. Pass them, and your world may yet survive. Fail, and both realms will collapse into chaos." The portal flickered, beckoning them forward. Without hesitation, Ida and her friends stepped through, their surroundings dissolving into swirling lights and shadows. When the light faded, they found themselves at the base of an enormous obsidian gate. The gate creaked open, revealing a circular chamber bathed in dim, silvery light. At its center stood 4 mirrors, each reflecting not their faces, but the darkest corners of their souls. Ida's mirror showed her wandering through an infinite void, utterly alone. Borju's mirror depicted her family turning their backs on her. Salim saw himself drowning in a vast ocean, gasping for air, while Amir's mirror displayed a battlefield littered with wounded he couldn't save. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Face your truths or be consumed by them." Ida was the first to step forward, trembling. As she entered her reflection, the void engulfed her. Panic clawed at her chest. But then she remembered the strength she had always carried. "I am not afraid of being alone," she whispered, and the void dissipated. One by one, the others faced their fears. Borju admitted her worth was not tied to others' acceptance. Salim embraced the chaos of the ocean, realizing it mirrored his own turbulent mind. Amir accepted that he could not save everyone, but could still make a difference. When they emerged, the mirrors shattered into dust and a new doorway appeared. The second trial took them into a shifting labyrinth, its walls alive with flickering runes and moving shadows. At first, they tried to navigate it individually, each taking different paths. But every attempt led them back to the start. Ida stopped and called out, "We need to work together." As they moved as a group, the labyrinth shifted in response, revealing puzzles that required their combined efforts. When a shadowy beast attacked, Salim used his quick thinking to distract it. Borju deciphered the runes, and Amir and Ida worked together to destroy it. The labyrinth dissolved, leaving them at the foot of a radiant staircase leading to the final trial. At the top of the staircase, the heart of the Nexus floated in a swirling sphere of energy. Its light pulsed rhythmically, like the heartbeat of a living creature. Lamia appeared beside them. "This is the final trial," she said. "To restore the balance, one of you must stay behind. A new guardian must be chosen to protect the Nexus and prevent another breach. The sacrifice is permanent." Her words struck like a thunderclap. Silence fell as the weight of the decision sank in. Then Ida stepped forward. "I'll stay." "No," Salim protested. "It should be me." Before anyone could argue further, the heart of the Nexus flared with blinding light. A deep, resonant voice emanated from it. "The choice has already been made." The light enveloped Ida, lifting her into the air. Her ordinary clothes transformed into shimmering armor, her eyes glowing with otherworldly energy. When she landed, she was no longer just Ida. She was the new guardian of Etheria. Lamia bowed her head. "The Nexus has chosen. Your sacrifice ensures both worlds will endure." A portal opened behind them, its swirling energy promising a return to Earth. Borju, Salim, and Amir hesitated, their eyes filled with grief. "We'll come back for you," Borju cried. Ida smiled, though tears streamed down her face. Live your lives. I'll be here, protecting both worlds. Don't forget me. As her friends stepped through the portal, the connection to their world closed, leaving Ida alone. She turned to Lamia, her voice steady. What now? Now, Lamia said with a faint smile. You learn the ways of this realm and its magic. You are the bridge between worlds, Ida, and your story has only a terrifying tale. Stay tuned with Campfire Horror Story